Everybody think we're ready to go?
Everyone for picture. This is the staff announcement.
The technical issues have been solved, so we'll be able to continue with the presentation. So, Vilma?
Yes, so actually it's just the last bits of the mobile game, and I just wanted to show one of the three games because it's this simulation application actually it's not so fast and so quick as it is on mobile games, so it's much simpler to do that on your mobile device. There was a question, we were discussing with a colleague the question where to download the game. The game, the present version as it is for the testing or to try, there are several options. First, the one is the one option is there is a presentation which will be shared. I'm sure Karel will do that. But another option is very simple one. If you go to SGSCC Facebook page, which is also gets other information about the project, actually just yesterday there was published a link where you say, oh look, there's a nice thing to try. So this game is also on the Facebook link. So if you don't want to wait for the PowerPoint presentation or just to get it after in the break, you can hit the link as well. Just finishing with this game, what is presented in the emotion part is what I want to show for the last part is how the game presents some theory or some didactics, as I mentioned it. At the beginning, it explains that emotions and how the other person can feel, I can recognize by the expression of the face what the person has. And we need to look and to understand what the face expression means. And they're presented all the expressions with a short explanation. So I will not go through all of them because it really will take quite long. So what the idea of the game is that all the expressions are presented in the simple way. and there's written what this man is happy. So another expression is also the same with the picture and also the text. So I will skip now for a moment. Oh. And then the explanation of the game instructions, how the game is going. So the game of the emotions is made to compare the pairs, to match the pairs, and to put the right emotion to the right emotion. To make game a bit more complex, we decided it would be more interesting if we match the female and male expressions, because it would be too artificial if we if we make only the one gender emotions and we tell that all these kind of emotions belongs only to women or to man. So it's much more realistic to have them mixed. So then the game presents expression in mixed way, in the mixed pictures way, and gives some moment to memorize it, shuffles, and covers. That's a simple game what we can do. And the game afterwards, what the player do, just trying to recognize and to open them and to match the correct one expression with the correct one. So I think now I will not go through that stage because probably I'm not best on this for that now. But still, with a mobile application, you can really easily take to practice, and it's much more fun because it's much more available, alive, and much more easy to navigate. So that was the short what I wanted to present. The other parts you can see here there is two buttons. The cross is just to switch off the program, and the green button with the lines which show that you can come back to menu and to choose another game. So all the structure is very, very simplified, that the player can use it at any time where he has device, and it's based on Android operating system, so can play on the Samsung tablets or any Android device-based operation system, smaller mini tablets, mobile phones, which is more comfortable and suitable for the person. So that would be all. Thank you very much.
Okay, my name's David Brown, and like Manfred said, I'm not a technician, I'm a computer scientist from Trent University. So obviously partners in the project. We have a research team at Trent University where we focus on using new technologies for the physical and the cognitive rehabilitation of users in the real world. This includes health psychologists, specialists in cancer, computer scientists, and we develop applications inclusive design where we really make sure we take user communities' views into the development of our products. We develop serious games, not just for cognitive rehabilitation, but also for physical rehabilitation. See, the picture in the top right-hand corner is for stroke rehabilitation. We develop applications of location-based services, teaching route learning to people with severe intellectual disability using mobile devices, and we also develop robotic applications for students with intellectual disability. In another European project where we're learning what are the best interventions for students which will engage them and lead to deep learning. So that's just a bit about the background. First of all, why do we think 3D games would have any application for teaching social competencies for people with mild learning disabilities? First of all, they provide emotional, motivational and engaging process. And it's the ability for games to engage learners in sufficient repetition to ensure that learning takes place, which is primarily their big advantage. This is called persistent re-engagement, where the learner returns to the task unprompted. Again, useful for games. Games allow reflection on process by giving regular reflection to the player on progress. Again, good for social competencies. Content can be presented in a series of small steps. So if you have a mild learning disability, presenting content in small steps is a very good idea. They provide an opportunity for repetition and provide opportunities for practice to be occur until a certain level of skill is attained. And again, this is important. The repetition, the computer doesn't tire of the student attempting the same task over and over again. They give consistent and predictable feedback, which is really important in this context. And they can remove the anxiety and the fear of failure by providing a space in which to practice, unlike the real world where the consequences of mistakes can be levied in painful or damaging ways. That's why we think this is an appropriate approach. So, what have we developed? We developed a game, 3D game, Nick and the team at home, called Inca Island. It emphasises the strength of working in a team and the application of social interaction skills. The player is placed in a role-playing situation to complete cooperative tasks with the people you meet in the game. The players, of course, are required to communicate. You can't do this by yourself. They're required to communicate and share information in order to fill the competence tasks. Information is gathered through interaction with NPCs. So if you're game players here, they're non-player characters. You have to cooperate with the non-player characters to perform the social competence tasks. You can also get information from game objects such as the whispering columns and some of the games. Learning context, what do we expect? We expect self-directed study. I expect students working by themselves in semi-formal and informal contexts. But they can also work in a peer-supported kind of way, working with teachers or trainers. But they can also do this as collaborative group activities. And again, that will have an effect. The mode of play will have an effect on the development of their cooperation skills, of their communicational skills as well. And all these games contribute in a blended learning approach to all the other products that our partners have produced in this team. Not just the curriculum, but the game manual and the handbook that Maria so eruditely demonstrated. Oops, I'll just go back on that. So, you can see a top-down view of Inca Island. It involves a series of activities which are loosely mapped onto the kind of rooms you'll experience. First of all, the players are informed they must solve problems as a group to find the treasure. Then the second activity is you choose your competence. Based on the competence that you choose, you'll have different challenges which relate to the instructional design and how they map onto the curriculum. Such tasks involve performing a game task to develop a competence. An example of this, which Nick will show, would be the traffic lights, which uses the traffic lights metaphor to demonstrate your self-control in that you can only move when the light is on green to get across the room. If you move on red, your entry is blocked. And also you have to show understanding of social competencies by answering questions and developing understanding by collaboratively solving problems. After you do that, in the 18 rooms that we have, you will be able to reach the treasure and finish your task. Of course, stop me again if you have any questions as we go through. This is a workshop, not a lecture. So, perhaps not very good contrast. Question?
Talking about 18 rooms, right? So am I right in thinking again that in each room there is one player?
No. In each room there's one player plus a series of non-player characters.
What do you call a room?
a room is, Nick will demonstrate some of these rooms so far. If you look on the right hand side of that graphic there are 18 rooms. They include the Hall of Whispers, Guardians of Emotion, and Me Mirror Room. All of those are development of communicational skills. Again, for a next set of cooperation skills, we call the Pretis room, the Steps room, and the Maze room. So for each of the 6 competencies, there are 3 rooms each, forming 18 rooms. So a big game, and we expect this for players to take a long way through. We've been having very fruitful discussions with our partners who are developing the evaluation and the piloting methodology. We expect to have repeated sessions. We don't expect our students to go through this game in one time. We have repeated sessions. So from an evaluation point of view, we expect that to give us rich data over a period of time using a variety of different measures. Self-report from the students, from the parents, looking at before and after tests of social competence, but also using observation. Do the actual use of the games improve cooperation and communication, as well as being in situ in the game as well? Each of the rooms have a different instructional design. Sometimes, and somebody asked this question before, sometimes it's a quiz to demonstrate your understanding. Sometimes it's actual gameplay, like in the maze game, which we aren't going to show today because we don't have time, where one person has a top-down map and his non-player character, his companion, is in the maze. You have to communicate and collaborate for the person with the top-down map to show the other person how to get out of the maze. That's a collaborative 3D task. We want a variety of different instructional designs to be embedded in this game. Nick will show 2 basic sets of rooms. One for self-control and another one for cooperation. In self-control, we're looking at things like premeditation of responses and behaviour, efforts to solve difficult tasks, resistance to temptation, regulation of negative emotions. Perhaps that's something we all have to deal with. The room of difficulties, where the target competence is to learn strategies of self-control and delayed gratification, involves players together solving a problem using 2 parts of different sentences. The block conveyor room uses something similar, where you're exchanging over conveyor belts the different utterances to form the right sentences to put on different blocks. All of these successful tasks lead to either a key to get out of a room or your progression up to the next level. The traffic light room itself looks at the target competence, and this is a very good constructively aligned activity between the curriculum, where you're learning self-control, and the gameplay, in that you can only move when the light is on green. If you move on red, you're penalised. The next set is looking at cooperation, planning and problem solving, understanding another person's point of view, and recognising achievement and the merit of others. The one that Nick will demonstrate is the target competence to identify the relevant aspects of cooperation, a collaborative problem solving exercise between you and your non-player character. We also have the steps room, which looks at identifying the correct order of team cooperation processes with another collaborative task. And the maze task, as I just described before, you as the player have to communicate with the non-player character with a top-down view of a map and guide them out of a maze. Once you do that, the door will be opened to the next level. We have always tried to constructively align the approach from Rumen and from Manfred, where we're looking at the development of the curriculum, the skills we're trying to develop, and looking at an appropriate instructional design in the game which will either demonstrate understanding of that competence or collaboratively developing that skill. But enough of the talk. Let's go now on to a great demonstration by Nick of our 3D game.
Good afternoon, just. So I will run you through pretty much the gameplay that you will expect in this game of ours. We, to allow for repeat use, once you've unlocked a level, you can return and play that level again, or replay earlier levels. The version I'm playing with at the moment has all the levels unlocked, so I can jump around and demonstrate things to you. When you first play the game, because this is a multilingual project, you get the opportunity to choose your locale, and text and speech will be presented in your chosen language. You can change that in the settings if you desire to change your location. After a brief introduction to the concept of the game and the controls, it uses the standard kind of action adventure game controls, so WASD and also the arrow, or alternatively the arrow keys, space to activate things, escape to enter the menu, and the mouse cursor to control look and selection of objects in the environment. So at the moment we're working with just one character, a male character. We need to source a female character to put in there, so we don't have the female character or to show them. So I'm going to go in as the male character. This is where we start the game with a tutorial section, which I will zip through a bit because I want to show you enough of the game for you to understand what's happening. At the moment, there is no speech here because we're waiting to have the final body of text validated before doing a recording of speech, but all conversation will be spoken. So here we're just talking to our companion about where we are. We've reached the island, and according to the map, the entrance to the temple should be at the end of the beach. So we can have a tutorial that gives us some information about controls. Our companion will tell us about the controls, but I'm going to skip that, and we will get on to moving. Oops. Sorry about that. I'll just give you a brief indication of what these controls are. So we can control our companion by right-clicking and then using one of these icons at the top to either suggest that they go to a certain location or to ask them to follow us. So now I'll walk backwards where you see he's following, or to wait where he is, or to perform an action specific to a particular task. The indicator at the bottom left shows you what our companion is doing. The indicator at the bottom right shows what activity we might perform at this moment. So I will quickly speed on to the first interaction. Around the island are these statues such as this, which give you information and allow you to progress through the game, but I know what I'm doing here, so I can just try and demonstrate the first introduction to how interaction cooperatively works in this game. So we hit a problem, can't get across the bridge. Have a look around, and there is this mission indicator here along with a pad. If I stand on the pad, so the bridge is lower now. Let's walk up and cross that. And I can't cross it because when I'm off the pad, the bridge raises. So the first task would be to maybe suggest that our companion goes and stands on the pad, and I can then cross the bridge. If I then suggest, follow me, of course he's now not on the bridge, he's not on the pad, the bridge is raised again. What am I going to do? Okay, well luckily there's another pad this side. So we get the idea that pads are going to be important in controlling key aspects of the game. Now I'm going to, I didn't tell him to follow me. Right. So I'll tell him to walk across the bridge, to the path selection. Path selection is where we choose which competence we're going to follow for this particular round of gameplay. So I won't dwell on some of the intricacies of finding how we get into this particular location. I'll just walk us straight through. Let's talk to this statue. We'll open the door there. Aha. There we go. There's the door open. And we have to have a look around in this area to find the key. I know where the key is, so I'm going to go straight to where it is. As you see, at any point where there is an action other than an action to be performed, at the bottom right is this indication that something else can happen if I press the activate button. So I press the button and I now have a key. Like most computer games, this has a map, which shows where we are, an inventory, as you see, we're wearing clothes and shoes, and the key that we've just picked up, and an indication of progress. So we've just progressed to the first point at the moment. Each time we play the game, to succeed, we fill this graphic with 6 diamonds. So let us choose our first path. And these 6 statues here are the 6 interaction path statues, and they will introduce themselves. The guardian of the path of self-esteem, communication, cooperation, conflict resolution, self-control, and assertiveness. Talk to each of us and select a path on which to continue your quest. So I want to, this time, talk to the cooperation statue, and we will start. This gives us a quick introduction to what cooperation means. Tell me about cooperation again, because I forgot to leave that out. To quest this path, you must be able to work with others and understand someone else's point of view. You must also be able to follow instructions, you must recognise others' successes and show gratitude. Do you wish to continue on the quest? Yes, I want to do this path, because this is the first room, which is the bridges room, which Dave mentioned. And it opens, and I can head for the first room. Check it's still following, of course it's still following. Oh. Coming back. Okay. So again, our way is blocked, but there is a statue with a mission indicator above it. Welcome to the first challenge. How are you ready to begin? Yes, you can tell us about the challenge. In this challenge, you must identify the different things that you should do when cooperating with someone. To do this, you must complete sentences describing the stages of cooperation. By correctly pairing 2 halves of a statement, describe the next thing you should do. Please make your way inside and complete the challenge to continue the quest. Now, it does have some more information about how we complete this quest, because obviously, being a game, you've got to have a wander around and explore the environment and work out what you need to do. I'm just going to do the activity, so I tell our partner, our companion, to stand on that pad there, and this pad is opposite or next to this list of half sentences. So he's got some buttons and some half sentences there, and I stand on the other pad. And here we see the first part of the sentence. So this is these are bridges are presented in the sequence that we will then be asked to remember and recall in the second room. So the first thing you need to do is we agree what this says we agree. What are the phrases again? So we'll get to remind of what the phrases are on the wall. And we agree which one of these do we choose. Information, who is a member of the team, the problem, if we were successful, each other for working together in a coordinated way or together. So anybody want to shout out A, B, C, D, E, or F? We agree.
B.
B. B. Who is a member of the team? Thank you. And let's try that. Shall I push? B says, who is a member of the team? Shall I push the button? Yes, push the button. And unfortunately, that's we share. We share what? We share what are the phrases left? Information, the problem, if we were successful. Anybody?
A.
A. I think you might be right there. I'll stand on A. You're standing on A, the board says information, shall I push the button? Yes, push the button please. Activating, and yes, that's it. So I'm going to now zip through this because I know the sequence. C. If I get one wrong, so this one's wrong, we thank each other. That's been done, that happens at the end, so obviously don't thank each other yet. Well, we do thank each other as you proceed through an interaction, but if we push the button, activating, and oh no, nothing happens, let's try another answer. Okay, right. It is, what's the phrase? We plan. We plan together. Yeah. Push the button. And when it comes, we do things. Oh, I'm not sure. We do things what? In a coordinated way. We assess. What do we assess? If we were successful. D. And the last one, I believe, is E. Hooray. So now we've completed the task. I can suggest that my companion follows me, and I can pick up the diamond here. Our pack is opened up to proceed to the next interaction. Now, I'm going to jump out of this one and move on to self-control. So I need to just
maybe to say something. Nick is going through the whole flow, but obviously he has played it before. Because if it's the first time that you play this, you will make quite some errors, and it's through the errors that you learn. So, but we demonstrate actually how you go smoothly through the process. But this is based on the fact that we know the tricks. We also played with some of us yesterday to also find out how do we get there. It took us quite some time.
And he programmed it, so he knows everything.
I didn't program it, I assisted. So now we want to go to the third interaction in self-control. So I had to switch the path to self-control, and now I also need to jump to the third room to show that one. Right, so now we're at another location. Here's another statue we can talk to. Hello and welcome to the final challenge. Are you ready to begin? Can you tell us about the challenge? In this challenge you must demonstrate your ability for self-control. To do this you must cross the floor. However, you can only move when the lights are on green. Please make your way inside and complete the challenge to continue your quest. So by now we are aware. Oh, sorry about this. It doesn't screw in. So by now we're aware that generally standing on pads is one part of the operation. So if I stand on pad 1 and I tell my friend to stand on pad 2, you notice at the moment it's just an empty. But when we're both stood on the pads, the door opens and the lights are red. Okay. Green, let's walk. Oh, the lights are red and the door's closed. Okay. And so I think I might have to stand on the pad again. Right. Green. Hang on. I know they're going right. So, when the light's green, I'll walk and then a bit of stop before the light goes red. Yes. So the thing that you're really controlling is your ability to control your keenness to continue walking. So this may take some time, hopefully not. Right.
Very cautious.
I'm being very cautious, yes. Yes. It's self-control.
So it uses a standard traffic light metaphor which is used in teaching young children in the UK about self-control. I.e. to not shoot on a green light. If you put a red light in the game, you will be penalised.
The control is really stopping moving.
Yeah.
That's where I'm being caught out every time. Except when somebody said you're being too cautious, and I decide to be a little less cautious.
That's peer pressure. Learning how to cope with peer pressure.
Oh!
But we want games with an appropriate level of challenge for students as well. In the testing that we're doing so far with students, if this proves to be in the settings a bit too difficult, we will make the time difference between the red and green light longer in order to make the task easier. But in all games, we want to have an appropriate level of challenge as well, which will keep motivating the students that we're working with.
Oh, what am I doing? Somebody else wants
Karel, question.
Can I ask you a question concerning the content itself? Concerning the relationship between the two characters, the two persons involved here, isn't there a risk that the player considers the other person as a simple tool to achieve what he wants, and without any particular emotional relationship?
Well, there's two ways to do it. First of all, the first part of the game is a first player game where you get across the room yourself and then you negotiate the other person getting across the room. In the two-player mode, which we are currently refining now, that you then work collaboratively to achieve this task together. There's two ways of doing the task.
Yeah, so this game, we're developing it with the intention of allowing it to be played multiplayer as well. So your companion is another online
Easier
player.
with the two players.
So we then have to have real time.
And the second question is concerning, we've heard a lot about the faces and the importance of faces and emotion. Would there be a possibility to change the faces when the answer is good, for example?
That's
something is achieved. The faces are neutral. Whatever happens, they always have the same face.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly a good suggestion and something that we could look for future development as well. We're currently undergoing piloting and usability testing. All the results concerning those kind of things and feedback from this workshop will be used in the ongoing iterative development of the project till the end of June. And so that's the prime purpose of what we're doing now, both from subject experts like yourself, but also from our target population of a whole variety of testing centres around Europe as well. So great suggestion.
There is only so much that can be done in the limited amount of development time that we've got, and I think that's a very important point to make. But the interactions here are very much more gross scale physical interaction with an environment. So you might gain something from expressing frustration or pleasure or something, but whether that really comes across in gameplay, in this particular gameplay, is also, it wasn't designed to enable you to engage with those that kind of expression. I think maybe that's interesting way to move this approach forward.
Yep.
Does everyone want to try and see
One more
finally
try.
achieve getting across, or
I think
one more try?
One more try. We're all rooting for you, Nick. Well, perhaps I am. Remember, these are just 2 rooms out of the whole 18 rooms that we have. And we don't envisage that you do all 18 rooms in one session. You can, in a blended learning approach, pick and choose the competencies that are relevant to the person's skills that you're developing, so their own individual educational plans.
That's only half the job. Now I've got to get him across as well.
We have noticed, Nick, it's usually better getting the other person across than yourself across. That might say something about your low level of self-control.
Close one that. So I can now pick up the diamonds, and that's that level complete. Thank you.
Alright.
And we just have some references there in this presentation as well.
So these are the references we produced in our research team in terms of using games with people with intellectual disability and those at risk of social exclusion due to behavioural issues as well. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, David and Nick. So as I said before, all the presentations, because those references, there's no way that anyone could read them. All those presentations will be available on the website. You will receive that email for that. The game you just saw will also be available. It may be interesting to mention, we decided not to put it as an executable. And the reason is, in many organizations, the moment that you want to run an executable, it blocks. Because you need administrative approval and etc. So it will be available as a zip. You unzip it in a folder, you click on it, and you can immediately play the game. So we are aware that certain organizations in Belgium, UK, block too many things, so that's why it will be available like that. Okay. Are there any questions before we go to lunch? Yes?
I just have one remark. Now that I learn more about your project, I'm asking myself, why do you focus mainly on people with disabilities, any kind of disabilities? It makes actually sense to enlarge your target group and exploit the results and go out to schools and all kind of
So
as Mr. Stamatov said, these are subjects that are missing in schools.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, because of our experience of designing not just for intellectual disability, but also for students in mainstream school, perhaps with special educational needs, or just for mainstream students who need to know these competencies, we develop a set of game design skills which is about universal design, so that if we follow these design principles, or what we call design heuristics for good design, we should make these games universally accessible. It's just it happened to be the target audience for this project We are still developing the games and heuristics that they make them useful for other target audiences. So, we fully expect as the mainstream at the end of this project, which is great for the impact of this project, these games to a whole range of different target audiences. So if you can suggest some, or you want to use a game with other audience, we're certainly interested in hearing how we can do that with you.
Well, not. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, from my point of view, it would make perfectly sense to expand your also with the testing. I don't know which institutions you're going to do the testing.
So maybe if I can reply to that. So we are with a whole range of countries where we're going to test this. And initially our testing group was foreseen indeed for people with mild, sometimes a little bit more severe learning disabilities. What we have seen now is, for example, I think in Serbia, they have decided to expand it to other schools, to other groups that are not people with disabilities. There is a group in the United Kingdom as well, where there is also potential to use it with other groups that are not disability linked. Point is, however, when we sign a contract with the European Commission, with the ACA, we have to strictly say what are the target groups that we will address. We need to respect that, contractual wise. But here in this project, you can say there's a big spillover effect. So, yes, transferability to other groups. So, actually already by the end of the project, we will have known that it is already used by people that are not disabled. The same also if you look at the numbers that where we said we test with so many people, we are going to test with many more. So by the end of the project we'll know the feedback from people with disabilities, various ranges of disabilities, and we'll have the feedback of the youth, people without disabilities. So by the end of the project, let's say that's about 6 months' time, we'll have all that feedback from us, nicely documented.
But we are using universal design principles so that if we follow those principles, the game should be accessible to a whole range of people with and without disabilities.
I am from the executive agency, and I can reassure you that if you go beyond the target group that you listed in your application, it's not going to be feel free. It's even it's an added value, obviously. So
and that's very good.
You don't
feedback,
have to stick to the
record.
application.
Okay. Anyone else a question?
I was. I think I'm okay with that.
Just
I was wondering whether social creativity, social competency is absolute, or whether there is a cultural component to that. Now that you're working across a variety of countries and cultures, I was just wondering.
Yeah, I think that has to be Rumen and Manfred to answer that one.
I think Manfred is
He's preparing himself.
Well, you're totally right that there are some cultural differences. However, we know from literature that most of communication skills most of them are universal. I mean, there are some signs, some communicative signs, some gestural signs which might be different in different countries. But usually, if we follow the literature of social psychology, we see that most of the cues, most of the steps in social competence are universal. However, you're right, further development should maybe focus on cultural diversity, but we follow gender mainstreaming, we follow diverse characters from diverse cultural backgrounds, so I guess within our possibilities we respect cultural diversity as much as possible.
Regarding the guide I talked earlier today and also the appendix with the practices, I just want to add that the initial version was prepared in English by the project partners, but then each version was not automatically only translated, no. There were national groups that worked at national level to adapt and to customize it to the cultural differences in each country. So there were further psychologists, sociologists, and social workers involved into adaptation of what we have prepared for the national versions. So this is taken into consideration.
Anyone else? A question? Okay, then from the audience I would say thank you very much everyone for your participation. There is a nice bread lunch for you. There are drinks, there's coffee, there is some wine even as well. And I welcome you everyone to the back to enjoy it. And maybe we can also meet each other. So thanks again.
Just before inviting you to the cocktail, can I kindly ask you, there are feedback forms within your folders. Please complete them and give it back to me or to any other the project colleagues before you leave this room today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Ah, Ali, de la Wallonie. Enchanté. C'est la première fois que je viens. Oui, vous étiez enregistré? Oui, vous n'avez pas fait ça. J'ai rencontré votre collègue pendant une session ici avec EPR. C'est une session et puisque c'est un produit qu'on a maintenant, c'est intéressant pour vous. La seule chose, c'est, puisque nous sommes une organisation de la droite, on va faire en fait, c'est tout le projet que j'ai présenté à la fin, il se trouve dans divers côtés en fait. Il y a côté comme celui-ci, côté compétences, l'autre côté compétences pédagogiques, de l'officiel pas une évidence. Il y a une partie